Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the takeover?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two different outcomes for LA's baseball teams on Memorial Day. The Dodgers got home runs from Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith in a 7-2 win at Cleveland. The teams meet up again tonight. After winning 8 straight, the Angels have lost 3 in a row. The Yankees beat the Angels 5-1. The Angels will try again tonight with the Yankees at Anaheim Stadium. Oklahoma City is only 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They beat Minnesota 128-126 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for OKC guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP. This young brother is fun to watch. His mid-range game is outstanding. Game 5 is Wednesday night in OKC. Game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight in Indianapolis. Indiana has a 2-1 lead over New York. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You really about to do it?
40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today in our second hour.
Dropped out.
Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with a mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed you for that Mona Lisa strangeness in your smile?
It's the iconic Nat King Cole and his biggest hit ever, Mona Lisa, even bigger, believe it or not, than Unforgettable. The artistic director of the New York Workshop Theater and writer Patricia McGregor and actor Daniel J. Watts join us for a conversation today in Hour 2 about the new bioplay, Lights Out, Nat King Cole, written by Colman Domingo. And the aforementioned actor Daniel J. Watts stars in the play as Sammy Davis Jr., alongside Dule Hill, who stars as Nat King Cole. We'll talk about Nat King Cole today and his iconic legacy in Hour 2. In our third hour today,
he's black! Arnez? Well, we're here now. If you can laugh at them, you can laugh at yourself. That's part of our problem, America. This is why I'm doing this special. I'm tired of racism right now. You gotta laugh at yourself, because there's something funny about all of us. Ladies, quit looking at me like I'm sexy, okay? If you was in a club and I came up to you looking like this, you were like, girl, let's get the fuck out of here and enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all don't know what I'm doing when I do that? I'm so fucking tired of TikTok right now. You go to bed at 6:30, you don't go to sleep until 4:30 in the morning. Because you flipping through TikTok all goddamn night. Can't even have a conversation with the person you're in the bed with, because y'all turned the opposite way looking at TikTok. Oh, baby, look at my video. Look at that. Look at mine. Look at mine. You ever had the sound knocked out of you? Wow. Oh, nigga. I said, Ronnie, come give your brother a hug. Nope. Squirrel nuts.
comedian Arnez J joins us today in Hour 3 to talk about the success of his first comedy special in a decade. It's called Not Gonna Stop. Plus, Arnez J is back out on tour. We'll give you all the lowdown on that in our final hour today when we get our laugh on with Arnez J. In a moment, we'll commence today's show talking politics and more with Fox News contributor and contributing editor at American Spectator, Deroy Murdock. But first, this.
Mr. Rangel, eating a hot dog, walking the streets, you look like a man who's still campaigning.
No, I was explaining earlier. I went to school across the street, and I used to get my lunch at this place. That time was sausage and a root beer. It was a nickel. And this guy never gave me a break on anything, so when he said it was a freebie, I just took advantage of it.
Well, you know, one of the big criticisms against Adam Clayton Powell was that he didn't really represent Harlem, that he spent his time elsewhere. What are you going to do in that respect?
Spend my time in Harlem and in Washington.
You're telling the people here that you are really going to represent them, that you're not going to let them down.
Then I tell you on the software you're going to win.
That's right.
Your doggone right be behind you in Harlem, man.
A lot of people lost money on this election.
Yeah. A lot of people did lose money on that election. That, of course, was the voice of the legendary Harlem congressman and political icon Charles Rangel, who, as you may not have heard, passed away yesterday at the age of 94. He was the last surviving member of that venerable group of Harlem elder statesmen known as the Gang of Four. The others, of course, were former New York mayor, the first black mayor of New York, David Dinkins, the iconic entrepreneur and former Manhattan Borough President Percy Sutton, Basil A. Patterson, who was a state senator and secretary of state, whose son, David Patterson, went on to become the governor for a certain amount of time after being lieutenant governor. This was during the Elliot Spitzer era. You recall when Elliot Spitzer ran out of the governor's office. It was his lieutenant governor, David Patterson, the son of Basil Patterson, who became the governor, the second African-American governor, first African-American governor, rather, in the state of New York City. So his father, Basil Patterson, alongside Percy Sutton and David Dinkins, were the Gang of Four, along with Charles Rangel. And yesterday, with his passing at the age of 94, there are no more members of that historic Gang of Four, African-American power brokers in Manhattan. Charles Rangel, of course, was a war hero, a master legislator, and tireless advocate for black America. He toppled the civil rights pioneer Adam Clayton Powell back in 1970 by the slimmest number of votes. And that's what you heard in that clip with media following him down the street, talking about how he had won that race by the slimmest of margins, and people had lost money on that election. Adam Clayton Powell had been in office for decades. and nobody saw Adam Clayton Powell being toppled. And here comes a young upstart named Charles Rangel, who takes out the pioneering civil rights icon, Adam Clayton Powell. That's back in 1970, right? And then, of course, Charles Rangel goes on to become the dean of New York's delegation, serving for decades in the House, 23 terms to be exact. Do the math, 23 times 2. He served a long time in the House and was the first African-American to chair the powerful House Ways and Means Committee, and then went on, of course, to be one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus. They tried to meet with Richard Nixon. Nixon refused to meet with them, and they started the CBC, and the rest, as they say, is history. And all these years later, 60 members strong, the CBC still stands, but Charles Rangel, one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus. What a journey. And what a record of achievement and accomplishment Charles Rangel was able to curate. Had the honor, of course, of knowing him and interviewing him many times on radio and television. And we used to tease each other about our raspy voices. He is far more raspy than mine, although I'm catching up to him all these years later. But I love that raspy voice. He was, without question, the best-dressed member of Congress. Nobody loved haberdashery and expressed it more than Charles Rangel did. But most importantly, that record of achievement and accomplishment representing Harlem for those many decades is one that will never be diminished, and I might add, I suspect never be quite repeated. Charles Rangel dead yesterday at the age of 94, and we salute him today on Tavis Smiley. When we come forward, we get our show started for real, for real. I'm glad to have you tuned in today.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
1 2 You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on. On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Deroy Murdock, conservative contributor to Fox News and contributing editor with the American Spectator. Pleased to have Deroy back on this program. I always like checking in with the other side periodically. Deroy, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Tavis. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. You know me. I'm doing well, and delighted to be in conversation with you. Any thoughts you want to add about Charles Rangel? I know that his politics were not your politics, but I know you've been in New York for a lot of years, and he was a long-standing member of Congress representing Harlem. Any thoughts first about Charles Rangel and his passing yesterday at the age of 94?
Yeah, just a couple quick observations. I did not know him well, but I did meet him briefly a couple of times. I saw him at New Orleans Jazz Fest. Once walking around, between one act and the next. And there's Congressman Charles Rangel of Harlem walking around New Orleans at Jazz Fest on a Saturday enjoying himself. So it was good to see him there. Okay. And then I also remember something that he appeared on New York One, which is the local Spectrum, now Spectrum, used to be Time Warner Cable Channel. And he was on air with William F. Buckley Jr. of National Review, someone whose politics are closer to mine. And they're having a debate about drug legalization. And Congressman Rangel was in favor of drug legalization and saying, if you start smoking marijuana, you move on to cocaine and then before long heroin, and you're either strung out in the street, you're in the hospital and rehab and so on and so on. And Bill Buckley was much more of a drug legalization person, especially when it came to marijuana, said, Charlie, this is what we call the post-pot ergo proctor pot argument. So I thought...
And the fact, it's a great line from William Buckley, and the fact that you recall that is fascinating to me. You know what's funny about you mentioning that? I went to see there was a friend of mine named Ren Brown, has a theater here, small theater here in Los Angeles, and he called me a few weeks ago and asked me could I stop by one afternoon to see something, and I stopped by, and it turned out to be that they were doing a play. And it was based upon the debate between James Baldwin and William Buckley back at the Oxford Union many decades ago. Of course, you may recall this. I had not seen that debate between Baldwin and Buckley for years, but to sit in that theater and to watch these brilliant actors reenact this debate between James Baldwin and William Buckley all these years later was astounding for me. Again, you saw the brilliance of Buckley, even though his politics and mine, again, are not anywhere close to each other. To your point, Buckley is more in line with your politics. But to watch this white man and this black man back in the 60s debate the issues of the day at the Oxford Union, and to just see Baldwin's brilliance up against Buckley that day was quite amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen that debate, but it's something that you might want to go look up if you haven't seen it in a while.
No, that's fantastic. And my guess is that if that's firing line, excuse me, the Hoover Institution has all or almost all of the old firing lines available. So that should be online and easy to find. And I will take a look at them. I'm aware of it, but I don't know if I ever actually saw that one.
Yeah, I encourage everybody listening right now for you James Baldwin fans. If you've never seen it, it's one thing to hear Baldwin give a speech. He was amazing. Another thing to read Baldwin's work, and nobody better. It's another thing to see him debate one of the most brilliant conservatives of all time, William Buckley. And so you should Google that when you find some time. It's only less than an hour. It's not a long debate. But to just watch Baldwin and William Buckley go at it was amazing. Again, I was reminded of how brilliant both of those guys were, even though, again, I agree with one more than the other. So I'm glad you mentioned that Buckley thing. It made me kind of think of that. Speaking
I'll mention one other quick thing. I want to encourage your listeners to tune in, either if it's next hour after that, on Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole is one of my favorites. What a great voice and what beautiful articulation of the English language. I mean, you could listen to him speak and every word pronounced perfectly, no slurring, no muffing of sounds. I mean, you could probably take English language lessons just listening to Nat King Cole sing. So I'm sure that'll be a great hour. I encourage your listeners to tune in for that.
I love Deroy shouting out the show and encouraging listeners to stay tuned to next hour. It is a great hour. And again, I'm just following you as I always do. I have my top 5. This audience knows I have a top 5 everything, it seems. But I have my top 5 singers who had the most eloquent diction, enunciation. Nobody better than Nat King Cole. He has never uttered a single word on any track that you didn't understand what he was saying. I've got other singers who are pretty amazing, but you can't really follow what they're saying. For example, Anita Baker. I love Anita Baker, but you got to read the lyrics to follow Anita on some of her stuff. But Nat King Cole,
this is not Louie Louie, where nobody had any idea what people were singing.
There you go. But Nat King Cole, man, just the most amazing delivery ever. I put Karen Carpenter on that list. Sam Cooke is on that list. There's some who are just so clear in their delivery, but none better than Nat King Cole. So it should be a great hour talking about this off-Broadway play that is headed to Broadway called Nat King Cole. They put the king in quotes. So it's a play in Broadway in New York right now. We'll talk about that, of course, in our second hour. But let me go back to the William Buckley thing, only because I want to just use it as an on-ramp to what I do want to talk to you about. The conservatives who were, shall we say, thoughtful, for lack of a better word, seem to no longer exist. You can certainly be conservative in name and in title, but the thoughtful nature of conservatism is gone, and I think it's never going to return. The GOP, as we know it now, ain't even the party of Ronald Reagan. But what say you then, as an African-American conservative, about the way this party has shifted so much? We'll get to Donald Trump, of course, a little bit later in this conversation. But since we're here, let's just stay here. Your thoughts about this party not even being recognizable anymore to William Buckley, where he's still around?
Well, that's an interesting comment. As a black conservative, what I'd say is that the Republican Party is still an intelligent party, a thoughtful party. I think the big difference you see is stylistic. And I think a lot of this came not so much out of response to Buckley or Reagan, but a response to the Bush family, which seemed to have I'll use this term and don't take it the wrong way, but especially G.W. Bush, the younger, the son, an overly Christian attitude. And by that, I don't mean he was too pious or too religious, but very much turn the other cheek, forgive, et cetera, et cetera. And it seemed a lot of people on the right felt that whenever he got attacked, he turned the other cheek, looked the other way, and sort of let the other side just punch him around, and just he turned out to be a punching bag. One small example was that during Katrina, what a complete disaster that was. And the administration had the opportunity to say, listen, things went wrong, certainly in terms of the Bush response and the federal response, but there were lots of problems in terms of what Governor Blanche, I think her name was Blanche, if I remember correctly, Blanchard, something like that, I think it was, her response, and certainly Mayor Nagin's in New Orleans, primarily having all those school buses just drown rather than putting them on high ground and having them available to do the evacuation. There was a hearing in which the Secretary of Homeland Security, Chertoff, was asked the question, was the failure strictly federal, or did anything go wrong at the state and local level? And his response is, no, we federal people take full responsibility. Nothing went wrong on the ground in terms of local or state response. It was all federal. And a lot of us took that as like, okay, just sit there and catch as many javelins as possible. And the Trump response is quite the opposite. You don't catch the javelins, you dodge the javelins, you pick them up and you throw them back as hard as possible. So I think what you see more than what you used to see under the Reagan, Buckley, and much more so, if you will, Bush model, is a much more, shall we say, pugnacious, tough, responsive, and shall we say, take no prisoners approach to political rhetoric and so on. And that I think you've seen much more so. But I don't think it's a lack of thoughtfulness. I just think it's a sense of fighting back under attack rather than turning the other cheek.
Two things. The governor's name you were reaching for, Kathleen Blanco. She was the governor of Louisiana.
Blanco, that's it.
Yeah, Blanco. Yeah, I interviewed her a number of times. I was down there right after Katrina. Doing some live shows, and had a chance to interview her a couple of times then. So Kathleen Blanco was the governor of Louisiana. Ray Nagin, of course, was the mayor of New Orleans, but Kathleen Blanco was the governor of Louisiana at that time of Katrina. Let me go back to what you said a moment ago. I know the audience heard it, I heard it, and I can't let it go. So when you say that the GOP these days, which obviously is Donald Trump, there really is no GOP. It's MAGA. It's all Donald Trump. He's running everything. So we could quibble about the GOP, as it were, and if there really is a party distinct and separate from Donald Trump, I do not think so. But when you use the words intelligent and thoughtful, tell me where are you seeing the intelligence and thoughtfulness in this administration? Because I don't see it, Deroy.
Well, I think primarily in terms of its approach on public policy. I mean, I look at things like the deregulation, which I think needs to happen. I think the effort to pass this one big beautiful bill. making these tax cuts permanent and doing something which we don't have up until now, and we will if this bill is passed and signed. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and tax leniency for seniors. I think the approach with Bush is a very positive thing. I know that they probably swung more with a machete than with a scalpel for sure. But I mean, you find out things about these various agencies that have these faulty payments that shouldn't have been made, Social Security numbers for people who are supposedly 150, 175, 200 years old. We're not really sure if those people got any money or not. But we shouldn't have. I think the number is about 12.4 million Social Security numbers corresponding to people or phantoms or ghosts, whatever you want to call them, 120 years old or older. There are people with Social Security numbers who allegedly were born in 1796, something like this. I mean, it's just obviously crazy. That says, if not fraud, at a bare minimum, a level of mismanagement and incompetence that are just completely unacceptable in what's supposed to be Earth's sole surviving superpower. And I think the one thing that I think is very intelligent is something that he's done more in his first administration, but I think he's trying it a bit in the second, which is using commercial agreements between countries that have been, had tension in some cases for centuries, as he did in the Balkans. I believe it was between Serbia and it might have been Montenegro or one of the other nearby Serbian countries. And the thought was, look, we're never going to have a peace agreement if things go the way it have been. Why don't we start an agreement where you guys just start trading back and forth, exchange goods back and forth. And once you understand that you can engage in commercial relations, maybe after some years you'll have enough trust, you can have some kind of a political accord. Nobody's ever tried anything like that. And I think that's intelligent. I think we'll probably see more efforts of that sort. And I think that would be a very positive thing. And I think it's pretty intelligent, pretty thoughtful.
Let me tell you what I think is not intelligent, what is not thoughtful. Just give me a second here to set this list up, and I'll let you I'll cut you loose for the rest of the hour if need be. But I said on this program last week, and I have not seen a story as yet. If it came, I missed it. But there were rumors last week as we approached the 5th anniversary of the murder of George Floyd that Donald Trump might honor Marjorie Taylor Greene's request and pardon Derek Chauvin. I've not seen a news story as yet that he has done that. And it was on Sunday. Today's Tuesday. It was Sunday that we commemorated the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's murder by Derek Chauvin and those do-nothing cops who stood around in Minneapolis. I certainly want to get your take on where America is with policing 5 years after. I'll ask you a direct question about that when we come forward. But here's the frame I want to put you in, if I can. I said last week on this program that I frankly have had it with my black conservative friends, and I consider Deroy Murdock a true friend, but I've got a bunch of black conservatives I know. Some are friends, some not really, but trying to be as nice as I can here. But you all have been your ilk, Deroy, have been far too silent for me in these first 100 days plus, and I'm beyond annoyed by it. And let me just stack this for a second. I'll give you all the time you need. So you got Donald Trump coming in trying to destroy, not just destroy, but indeed abolish the Department of Education. And the data is incontrovertible right now with all these funds being held up. Whose babies are being hurt the most. They are black babies, they are brown babies, they are poor babies as Donald Trump attempts to abolish the Department of Education. Secondly, I need not tell you all of the attack that diversity, equity, and inclusion have been under in the Trump era. Anything that has DE&I attached to it, they've been destroying, he and Elon Musk, in these first 100 days plus. You've seen the attack that Donald Trump has waged against what we call the Blacksonian, the Black Museum in D.C. They have run out the director. We are seeing exhibits that have disappeared, but you see the attack on the funding for the Blacksonian Museum in Washington. You saw the way more recently that he maltreated. He's done others this way, but it was an embarrassment, a humiliation, the way he treated the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, who was in the Oval Office just last week. You saw the announcement heading up to the anniversary, the 5th anniversary of the death of George Floyd, that Donald Trump's Department of Justice got out of the consent decree with Minneapolis and in Louisville and Memphis and other cities where they killed Breonna Taylor and Tyree Nichols, etc. The Department of Justice is no longer interested in consent decrees, or more to the point, holding police accountable. If I had more time, I do not. I could continue to run this list. And despite all of that and then some, you black conservatives have said nothing about Donald Trump going too far. I want to hear why that is when we come forward, and we'll cover a great deal more with Deroy Murdock when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Alexandria Icamoni with BIN News Now. Family members are furious after a San Bernardino, California police officer appeared to slam a black 17-year-old girl face first to the ground while detaining her. The girl's mother spoke at a news conference.
She didn't deserve nothing that she had happened to her. I'll be taking her to the hospital again today. She's still complaining about her face hurting.
Former New York Congressman Charles Rangel has died at the age of 94. Rangel was elected to the U.S. House in 1971 and served 46 years in the chamber before retiring in 2017. He was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Black sports fans are on edge as the Knicks look to even out their 2-1 series with the Pacers tonight. With the Knicks still on the road in Indiana, several watch parties across New York City and other cities are being held for Game 4. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org. Is this the devil?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two different outcomes for LA's baseball teams on Memorial Day. The Dodgers got home runs from Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith in a 7-2 win at Cleveland. The teams meet up again tonight. After winning 8 straight, the Angels have lost 3 in a row. The Yankees beat the Angels 5-1. The Angels will try again tonight with the Yankees at Anaheim Stadium. Oklahoma City is only 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They beat Minnesota 128-126 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for OKC guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP. This young brother is fun to watch. His mid-range game is outstanding. Game 5 is Wednesday night in OKC. Game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight in Indianapolis. Indiana has a 2-1 lead over New York. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
He does indeed with our guest in his first hour, regular contributor Deroy Murdock, conservative commentator, contributor to Fox News, and contributing editor to the American Spectator. And so I'm honored always to be in conversation with Deroy. So I, in case you've just tuned in, let me just reset the table here, and I'll let Deroy have at it. So I was saying to Deroy moments ago that I am beyond annoyed at these black conservatives in this country who supported Donald Trump. And we all know, sadly, regrettably, that the number of black people who voted for Donald Trump went up this time over last time. And what y'all Negroes were thinking, I do not know. I said last week, including members of my own family who supported Donald Trump, and every one of us has somebody in our family who voted for Donald Trump. Just completely stuck on stupid as far as I'm concerned, and I love my family, but just I don't get it. But even if I respect the fact, and I do, that they have agency to vote for who they want to vote for, when the guy shows up and starts to show us who he is, and he starts trying to topple the Department of Education, which is impacting black children. He's going after DE&I, which is impacting black federal workers and black people all across the country. Say nothing of corporate America that turns a blind eye to these issues because the Trump administration doesn't care. So why should corporate America care? It's always been that way. When government looks the other way, corporate America looks the other way. Walmart, Target, on and on and on the list goes. You see his attack on the Blacksonian, the Black Museum in Washington, the way he just disrespected Cyril Ramaphosa after calling these countries S-hole countries. He just went at Ramaphosa in person last week in the Oval Office. All these rumors of him potentially pardoning Derek Chauvin. He refused to smack that down. And then comes news on the way to the 5th commemoration of George Floyd's murder. The Department of Justice announcing that they're no longer going to be concerned or interested in holding police accountable in Minneapolis, where they killed George Floyd, in Louisville, where they killed Breonna Taylor, in Memphis, where they killed Tyree Nichols, and all these other cities. The federal government no longer interested in police accountability. Why do I raise that particularly? Because the New York Times, I encourage you to read it. I think on Sunday, the New York Times did a huge in-depth story. They did the research, did the work to discover that not only have police killings of black people in particular, police killings of black people have not abated at all over the last 5 years since the murder of George Floyd. To the contrary, they've gone up. Police killings of black people have gone up over the last 5 years since the murder of George Floyd. With all that on the table, Deroy Murdock, I ain't heard you black conservatives, I ain't heard a peep out of y'all when it comes to holding Donald Trump accountable. So I ask 2 questions, and I'll shut up, and you go as long as you want. Question number 1, is there nothing on this list that I've just mentioned? I could go longer if I had more time. Is there nothing on this list you find reprehensible, number 1? And number 2, what is it going to take for these black conservatives who supported Donald Trump to call him out? What's it going to take? I'm done. It's all yours, Deroy.
Well, thank you. That's quite an introduction you got there. You brought up quite a few things. And I would say that there are a lot of stuff that you mentioned, a lot of black conservative support, some of it maybe less so. I can tell you certainly probably where you're going to find the most agreement is on the area of the Department of Education, which was started under Jimmy Carter back in the 1970s. And we've seen since the time the Department of Education began and federal government took a much larger role in K through 12 education, and frankly, all the way up through college and graduate school as well. We've seen reading scores and math scores go down for Black students, and down, down, down they've gone. So it seems like the more federal involvement there is, the more we spend, the worse the results get. And this is a terrible situation. I think it's frankly a national emergency. You got places like Baltimore, where I believe they've got, I think the number is about a dozen or so high schools where there is not one student, mainly Black students, schools as they happen to be, one Black student who is reading or doing math at grade level. I don't mean 1%. I mean not one little boy or one little girl. And that is a catastrophe. In the state of Illinois, it's even worse. They've got 80 high schools where you've got not one student, one little boy, one little girl in high school who can do math at grade level. That's 80 schools across Illinois. That is an utter catastrophe. And the saddest thing about this is that these kids are behind now. They'll probably never catch up, and they're going to stay behind for the rest of their lives. So I'd like to see more school choice, more parent involvement, high standards, and I think you'll get a lot more of that if you have more control of the money for students. If the money follows the students from school to school and stays within the districts, as opposed to being sent to Washington D.C., where it's basically filtered, and they take their share, their skim off the top, and send some of it back with a lot of rules and regulations and red tape and so on. So I think that's a good thing. In terms of DEI, which you mentioned, I think a lot of us Black conservatives are concerned about so many of these DEI programs, which are focused not just on taking a look at Black history or reminding people about Black people's tremendous contribution to the growth and prosperity of the society, but instead on stirring up and exacerbating racial tensions between people, or even creating them where they don't exist. One example, we've seen a number of federal facilities. One of them is Los Alamos Laboratories out in New Mexico. They had a program there which was only for the white male employees. And they were all told to come into a conference room, and they had a DEI consultant come in and berate them and basically accuse them of racism and saying all the racial tensions are their fault. And they had to go through various exercises, explain why they're all personally racist, and also stand up and say that they are willing to quit their jobs to make room for qualified minorities. Now, if somebody at Los Alamos Laboratory is calling people names or engaging in discrimination, not giving Black folks or other minorities the promotions or the pay raises, whatever they deserve, then those people need to be reprimanded. If they're out of control, they need to be fired. But I don't think we gain anything as a society by putting people into conference rooms and other of these type situations and confronting them and accusing them of inherent racism and being racist from when they were born. Some of this DEI stuff goes all the way into elementary school with little white kids coming home and telling their parents, ages 6, 7, 8 years old, mommy, I was told in school today that I'm a racist. I don't think 6, 7, 8-year-old kids for the most part are racist, and accusing them of that sort of thing is very healthy, and certainly is not a way to get Black and white kids to learn to love each other and get along well. You mentioned Ramaphosa, the situation with the president of South Africa last week in the Oval Office. There have been these accusations about people, white farmers in South Africa who've been thrown off their land. Some of them have been killed. That's a problem. I mean, look, you can, I'm all for maintaining and fighting for human rights on the part of Black Africans. But if you have white South Africans who are being displaced from their land illegally and inappropriately, and if they're being killed, then that's a problem. I mean, human rights are supposed to be human rights, not just Black rights or Hispanic rights or Asian rights. They're human rights across all races, including white people. If they're suffering from atrocities, that's a problem, and that needs to stop. You mentioned consent decrees. I think some of these consent decrees and some of these police stations, or police districts, I should say, across the country are such that they've limited the ability of cops to engage in appropriate law enforcement as they should. Obviously, if there's police abuse and police brutality, that's a problem that needs to be dealt with. But I think in many cases, and I recommend the work of Heather McDonald of the Manhattan Institute. She's written a lot about this. She's probably the country's leading expert on this matter. The consent decrees and other restraints that have been put on police go well beyond limiting police brutality and just make it impossible, or very, very difficult anyway, for police to do their jobs and fight actual crime. Many of the victims of whom happen to be Black people in the inner city. A lot of the crime that goes on is not in Bel Air and Beverly Hills. It's down in the hood, unfortunately. And a lot of the people who suffer from this are not white folks, but Black folks, and that's not a good thing at all. You mentioned the museums and that sort of thing. I think if there's any area where I think some Black conservatives might say things have gone a bit too far and a bit crazy, are these efforts to say, look, we don't want to have inappropriate racial tension or stir tensions among Black folks and white folks, et cetera. But I think part of the way we do this is we celebrate Black achievement, Black success, Black contributions to American history, and those have been tremendous. Those have been almost incalculable. And things like museums of Black history, things like the contribution of Jackie Robinson to the integration of baseball, things like this are vital. I know there was some effort in the Pentagon as they were going through all this. I think again they were probably using the machete when they should have used the steak knife. And there was some effort to remove references to Jackie Robinson's military service or something like that. That, of course, goes way too far. I mean, there's nothing positive about that. I think one of the best ways to promote racial comedy and positive feelings across races in this country is to talk about all the achievements and successes that Black people have achieved in this country over the last 250 years, 300 years for that matter. And remind people, if they need to be reminded, of all the great things that Black people have done in this country and continue to do. And so I think things that minimize that or erase that are not good. And I would say in terms of Black museums, Black exhibits of displays and evidence of Black success and Black achievement and Black contribution to American society, those are things that ought to be honored and increased rather than minimized or erased.
Okay, so if you're keeping score at home, I listed 7 things. I just happened to go back and count it myself. I didn't have a number initially. I listed 7 things that are beyond troubling for me, that speak to the way that Donald Trump is showing up when it comes to Black folk in particular. Of those 7, Deroy gave me a little love on 1, and that was the Black Museum. Nothing on education, nothing on DE&I, nothing on police accountability, nothing on disrespecting a president of an African country, nothing on, police accountability in these cities with DOJ. I listed 7 things. One of them sort of rubbed him, the wrong way, but not the others. I think that's telling. I love Deroy. We'll talk about it when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number, because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley. More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, and conservative commentator, contributor to Fox News, contributing editor at the American Spectator, African-American conservative Deroy Murdock as our guest in this first hour. So, Deroy, I didn't want to interrupt. I think you know my way, and anybody who's followed my career knows for a long time that when I need to debate, I can do that with all humility. I was a national championship debater in college, so I can do that when I need to. But sometimes I want to make my case and let you make your case so the audience can hear directly from you. I don't need to debate it. That's your point of view. I vehemently disagree with it. I guess my question is, when I listen to you explain away all those issues that I raised, and by the way, let me just say right quick, I said this last week, and Donald Trump needs to be aware of this, and I'm sure he is, as is his team. They just ignore the truth. They prefer what they call alternative facts. The image that Trump referenced last week in that meeting with Cyril Ramaphosa of these dead white farmers was not footage from South Africa. It was from the Congo. Reuters has written that story. They've underlined it like 10 times. The footage that Donald Trump represented in that conversation or brought forth with Cyril Ramaphosa was not from photos of a bunch of dead white farmers in South Africa. That was footage from the DR Congo. I leave that alone. I said it last week. We got to stop that lie from spreading around. They are not killing white farmers in South Africa, and Ramaphosa, the president, made that clear, and yet they keep advancing this lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. Go to Reuters, read it for yourself. I'll leave that alone. Here's my question, though, Deroy, and I asked, again, respectfully. So I've talked to a number of Hispanics, a number of Latinos over the last few months who will express honestly and earnestly, transparently, some buyer's remorse when it comes to Donald Trump. Here's my point. I don't sense as yet, no matter all that he's done, all that he's said, all that he's shown us, that black conservatives have any buyer's remorse. Correct? Deroy, is your phone muted? Unmute your phone if you're muted. I can't hear you. You may be on mute. Deroy Murdock. Don't go running now. Yeah, I think you're muted, Deroy. Unmute your Zoom link so we can actually hear you. All right, we'll get Deroy unmuted. I know he ain't running for me because Deroy ain't scared of a fight. When we come forward in this final segment, we'll get to Deroy's response to that question as to why black conservatives, with all that Donald Trump has done and all the ways he's attacked black people, have no sense of buyer's remorse. You're listening to Deroy Murdock on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease or AD. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
All right, Deroy Murdock heard my question. He just couldn't respond, but now we've got him up. Just again, my question very simply is, do black conservatives, unlike some Americans, have no buyer's remorse when it comes to Donald Trump?
Got you. Sorry about the technical difficulties
Nope,
there.
we got
Anyway,
you.
We're back together. Yeah, so I think that generally speaking, what I've heard, most people seem content. We're happy with the fact that he's energetic and focused. I mean, even if you dislike what Trump is doing, I don't think anyone can deny the guy gets up early in the morning, works late into the night. He's at it all the time, which is terrific. And he's also, I think, audacious. I mean, he's not just doing what Daddy Bush said he would do if he got reelected in 1992. He said, I'm just going to handle the inbox. Trump is trying very ambitious things, whether you're talking about trying to bring peace to the Middle East as well as Russia and Ukraine. We hope that turns out well. What he's trying to do in terms of the tax code and everything else. So I think he's going for very large efforts. But I do think one area where I've seen people kind of wish things went differently is the way that the whole tariff business has been handled. I personally would have done the tax cuts first. I would have put money in people's pockets, give people some certainty about what the tax code will look like in 2026 and beyond, so they can make plans. Very hard to make plans for next year when you don't know what corporate tax or personal income tax you're going to pay. And then once things got stabilized, the economy got found its sea legs, if you want to put it that way, then I would have moved on the tariff thing. So I would have done that completely in reverse. And I've heard some people when we get together talking to each other saying, why did he start with the tariffs? He should have started with the tax cuts. I think it's probably the one area if we were if we could offer some constructive criticism or some advice to him, it would have been that. But a lot of us look back at what the alternative would have been. If Kamala Harris were in the White House today, we don't think things would be anywhere near where they are today. The border would have been wide open. That situation was not good from an economic standpoint, from a national security standpoint, or anything else. And there are a lot of other policies, obviously, with which we would disagree. So
I think,
I do think there's some constructive criticism, but for the most part, I think we're still happy with the purchase we made last November.
Yeah, I don't think if Kamala Harris were president, we'd be seeing DE&I under attack. I don't think we'd see the Blacksonian under attack. I don't think she would have disrespected Ramaphosa that way. I don't think we'd see a U-turn on police accountability. I don't think we'd be destroying education, hurting black students. I don't think any of that would be happening were she president. But here's my exit question. I think I got 2 minutes to go. And I don't think she'd be yo-yoing the markets. Donald Trump, thinks of himself as a billionaire entrepreneur and thinks he knows more than anybody else about how to run a business, and yet this guy, he's the guy, not her, yo-yoing these markets every day. To your point, people don't know what they don't know what to expect now because of him. This ain't Kamala Harris. They don't know what to do or what to expect because he's the one, again, acting as if these markets are on a yo-yo string. But I digress on that point. Here's my exit question. You used the word audacious a moment ago, and I like that word audacious. And you're not obviously in the habit of giving advice to the left, giving advice to Democrats, giving advice to progressives. But what is the message, to your mind, for Democrats about the audaciousness of Donald Trump, if you will?
Well, I guess the advice I give is if they think Donald J. Trump is audacious, they ought to come up with a positive agenda. I mean, when I hear Democrats and members of the House and Senate, congressional Democrats and others, they hate Trump. It's anger about Trump. Trump is evil. Trump is awful. Trump is Hitler, et cetera. And a lot of us saying, all right, well, what's your alternative? I would love to hear the Democrats say, look, here's our alternative tax proposal. Here's what we want to do on education, or here's what we think will be great for healthcare in America, or what have you. And I see a lot of Trump hatred, a lot of acrimony. The last few days I've seen people literally screaming to cameras. And I'm thinking, okay, well, we know you can scream. That's impressive. But, what is your positive agenda? So, I'd say my advice to the left is, let's see what your positive agenda is. Present it, push for it, fight for it. And, some of us might agree or disagree, but that would be a much more constructive use of everyone's time than just, we hate Trump. He's literally worse than Hitler. And you hear that kind of thing. And I don't think that gets the left, the right, the middle, or anybody else very far at all.
No, on that point, we agree. I don't think that sort of name-calling advances us, and yet he is showing ways that people are concerned about his authoritarianism, and I think that's legitimate. But let the record show, I'm out of time, let the record show that on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, Donald Trump, as yet, has not gone too far for black conservatives. Deroy Murdock, Manhattan-based Fox News contributing editor with the American Spectator. Deroy, good to have you on. Thanks for your insights. We'll do it again, sir. All the best to you.
Thank you, Tavis. You too.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Icamoni with BIN News Now. Family members are furious after a San Bernardino, California police officer appeared to slam a black 17-year-old girl face first to the ground while detaining her. The girl's mother spoke at a news conference.
She didn't deserve nothing that she had happened to her. I'll be taking her to the hospital again today. She's still complaining about her face hurting.
Former New York Congressman Charles Rangel has died at the age of 94. Rangel was elected to the U.S. House in 1971 and served 46 years in the chamber before retiring in 2017. He was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Black sports fans are on edge as the Knicks look to even out their 2-1 series with the Pacers tonight. With the Knicks still on the road in Indiana, several watch parties across New York City and other cities are being held for Game 4. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org. Is this the takeover?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two different outcomes for LA's baseball teams on Memorial Day. The Dodgers got home runs from Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith in a 7-2 win at Cleveland. The teams meet up again tonight. After winning 8 straight, the Angels have lost 3 in a row. The Yankees beat the Angels 5-1. The Angels will try again tonight with the Yankees at Anaheim Stadium. Oklahoma City is only 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They beat Minnesota 128-126 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for OKC guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP. This young brother is fun to watch. His mid-range game is outstanding. Game 5 is Wednesday night in OKC. Game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight in Indianapolis. Indiana has a 2-1 lead over New York. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You really about to do it?
40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Baby!
Quickly, Patricia.
men have named you. You're so like the lady with a mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed you for that Mona Lisa strangeness in your smile? Do you smile to tempt a lover, Mona Lisa? Or is this your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa?
Nobody like him. Nobody like Nat King Cole. I am pleased in this hour to be joined by the artistic director of the New York Workshop Theater and writer Patricia McGregor, and actor Daniel J. Watts for a conversation in this hour about the new bioplay Lights Out. Nat King Cole, they put the king in quotes. You can't see this, it's radio. Nat King Cole. Co-written by the brilliant thespian Colman Domingo. The aforementioned actor Daniel J. Watts stars as Sammy Davis Jr. alongside our friend and brother Dule Hill, who stars as Nat King Cole. Patricia, good to have you on this program. How are you today?
Fantastic. Great to be on the program. Thank you for having me.
Delighted to have you. And Daniel, how are you, sir?
Yes, sir.
How are you today?
I'm great. Great to be here.
Good to have you on the program. Patricia, let me start with you. I am always fascinated, as this audience knows, by the backstory. It's one thing for a play to be written, and then it gets to off-Broadway, and then it gets on Broadway, and then everybody celebrates it. But it's the backstory of how these things come to be that always fascinate me. So for you and Colman Domingo, the co-writers of this bioplay, why Nat King Cole?
Had a commission at People's Light Theater outside of Philadelphia. Zach Berkman was talking to him about dream projects for the both, and they landed on Nat King Cole. And they just thought, here is this American icon that almost everyone they knew the music of, but nobody knows the backstory, or very few people know the man behind the voice. So originally I was going to come on to direct, and then Colman and I, who've worked together a lot, we worked on a James Baldwin piece together, and we both like being in the room, finding the best way we can serve the story. So he said, I know you write, and I know I direct sometimes. What if we co-wrote this together? And so I came on to co-write and direct, and it emerged out of our research that we were going to really hone in on the final taping of this Nat King Cole show. We did some research, and actually Aaron Malkin, who's at New York Theater Workshop, where I work now, passed on this article where he said Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark, and it was his feelings. It's some of them, the more forward-footed sides of Nat, talking about the frustrations underneath the grace, that he had this amazing show, that he was the man that built Capitol Records, but they couldn't get a national sponsor. So we thought, what would it be like to try and get inside his head on the night of the taping of this last show? And as we thought of the cast of characters that would come together, we thought, well, who would be a good, fun provocateur to try and get him to say out loud some of the things he was thinking? And we saw some footage of Sammy Davis Jr., and we really built the piece around that event, that last taping, Nat in his dressing room himself, and who would come to him, Sammy Davis Jr., to try and get him to kind of speak a truth of all the feelings underneath a big moment like that. So we cast Dule Hill and Daniel Watts. We cast them together. We knew we needed a Nat and Sammy that would be a dynamic duo, and they have proven to be just that.
I'm looking forward to this hour. It's going to be an amazing hour as we dig into the backstory of Nat King Cole, because Patricia's right. We don't often hear about the way he had to navigate race. Let me tell you a story that I know, and I know this because Nat King Cole's widow shared this story with me. His two of his daughters. One is still a friend of mine. The other, Natalie Cole, the late, great Natalie Cole, was a friend of mine. And in many private conversations, and for that matter, with Natalie specifically, conversations in public on TV and radio, we have traversed some of this terrain. But just a quick story about why this fascinates me so much, Patricia and Daniel, and we'll continue this conversation. So, as a kid, I worked for the late, great mayor of this city, the first black mayor, Tom Bradley. And the mayor's house in Los Angeles, the mayor's mansion, is called Getty House. It was donated by the family of J. Paul Getty, the billionaire of years ago. So Getty House is in an area called Hancock Park. I said Leimert Park. I'm in Leimert Park right now. Too many parks around here. I'm sitting in Leimert Park, but Hancock Park is where the mayor's mansion is, a Getty House. And so as a kid, I worked for Tom Bradley. And one night, the mayor was being feted at a fundraiser at the home of a couple named Bill and Zelma Stennis. Bill and Zelma Stennis owned a restaurant chain. For those who've been in L.A. for a long time, you remember Proud Bird. So the Stennises are the black family that owned the Proud Bird chicken franchise. They had a beautiful home in Hancock Park, just around the corner from the mayor's mansion. I'm working as an aide to the mayor, so I'm always at the mayor's mansion. Wherever Tom Bradley is, I'm following him around, doing what I do as a young aide. And so we go into this house. And as we're pulling in the driveway, the mayor says to me, Tavis, I don't know if you know this or not, but the home that the Stennises live in, this is the home that Nat King Cole lived in. And it was Nat King Cole, Tavis, the mayor's telling me, who integrated the neighborhood of Hancock Park. And he says, you'll never guess what happened on the first night that the Coles moved into this house. Nat King Cole, as Patricia said, was on NBC. He built Capitol Records. Everybody in Hancock Park, all the good white people were playing his music. But when Nat King Cole moved into Hancock Park, this exclusive neighborhood, they burned a cross on his lawn the first night. Literally, the Klan burned a cross on his lawn the first night. Now, the mayor told me that story. The Stennises confirmed that, but it was only when Natalie Cole told me that story, and her mother told me that story, that it really came to life for me. That's how they treated Nat King Cole on the very first night that he moved in this house in Hancock Park. As fate would have it, God would bless me. I love the Hancock Park neighborhood. I would eventually buy a home in Hancock Park. I ain't giving you my address, but I live right near the home of Nat King Cole. And so it's an honor for me every day, not every day, but certainly routinely, to drive by that house that is still there, that Nat King Cole and the Cole family moved into to integrate the neighborhood of Hancock Park. So you can see why this conversation about Nat King Cole and his music always personally resonates with me, but I'm delighted for the rest of this hour to be in conversation with Patricia McGregor and Daniel J. Watts as we talk about the life, the legacy, this final show of Nat King Cole. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
Unless you're there by my side, don't want to walk alone, don't want to dream alone.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
1 2 You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on. On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the second consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, call the bomb.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
you're listening to Tavis Smiley.
L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love. Is all that I can give.
I say this all the time. I have the smartest audience in radio. This program, of course, is based in Leimert Park, emanates live every day from Leimert Park, heard on stations all across this country. But I just love smart people, because whenever I make an error, which I try not to do, but I am not human and divine, I'm just human. When I make an error talking so fast, it don't take long for somebody to call and correct me. So I'm not going to call your name, but I appreciate you calling me. As I told the story about Nat King Cole, I said Proud Bird. It wasn't Proud and Bird, it was Golden Bird, the Golden Bird chicken franchise owned by the Stennises, not the Proud Bird. It was the Golden Bird. There is a Proud Bird chicken franchise, and there's a Proud Bird restaurant out by the airport here at LAX. But it was the Golden Bird chicken franchise, so I stand corrected. I know that. Didn't realize I had misspoke, but I thank the caller. I ain't going to call your name. You asked me not to. But they called the studio and said, Tavis got it wrong. But the story is correct. Just I had the wrong chicken franchise. But again, you should always feel free. If you ever hear me say anything that you know is correct or incorrect rather, and I made a mistake, call up, let me know. I want to get it right. I don't ever want to put no bad information out there, and I want to honor the Stennises. What an amazing family the Stennis family is, and so I certainly want to honor them and all they did to build that Golden Bird chicken franchise. If you ever had that Golden Bird chicken, you fell in love with it here in Southern California. Our guest in this hour, all that said, are the artistic director of the New York Workshop Theater and writer Patricia McGregor. She's the co-writer of this Nat King Cole bioplay, along with the great actor Colman Domingo, and Daniel J. Watts plays Sammy Davis Jr. In this new bioplay called Lights Out, Nat King Cole. And I'm honored to have Patricia and Daniel on this program. Patricia, I want to come back to you because you set the frame so beautifully for me. Broadly speaking, what has been your read during the research to co-write this with Colman Domingo, this bioplay? What's the research say to you about the ways in which Nat King Cole, in fact, navigated the race terrain? I shared that story moments ago about them burning a lawn, burning a cross rather on his front lawn the night he moved into Hancock Park to integrate that neighborhood. They loved his music. They just didn't want Nat King Cole living next to them. But what did you learn about the way that he had to navigate the racial terrain? Because we never saw that outwardly, at least, when it came to his performances.
I felt all this research, sitting in the music, reading the articles, reminded me of the absolute nature of his virtuosity,
Mm.
both as a vocalist and an instrumentalist. It's kind of unbelievable to be as lauded and accomplished as he was, not only in one lane, but in both.
Yeah.
But also the cost of his grace,
Mm.
the cost of what it took to break the barriers that he broke and still try to maintain a smile, still try to be the idyllic father for his family, still try to be a real beacon in a time that had inner toil. And so he died at 45 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, we call it lights out, which has a lot of different meanings. Lights out can mean an astonishing performance. And when we get to astonishing performances, Daniel J. Watts and Dule Hill put in the work. I mean, their performances are virtuosic and astonishing. And they also have a physical cost.
Mm-hmm.
It takes something to kind of put down what they're putting down, not only the artistry, but also getting underneath the skin. And so what I learned was the sacrifice he made in order to try to be that impeccable barrier breaker. He couldn't flinch. He did everything he could to break the barrier, but also sometimes that has a cost. And what I always think every generation, I'm running the baton the ancestors gave me, and they ran their leg of the race very hard, and I'm trying to run my leg of the race so I can pass it on to my kids and the future generations. And we hope to keep breaking barriers, but I hope the cost is not as much.
Yeah.
I hope that not everyone has to pay the same level of cost. He was pulled off, he singing the most beautiful songs that wrapped you into a lullaby to sleep, and was pulled off the stage in Alabama by the Klan. And also it was an update in this version, because we did this at the Geffen as well in Los Angeles. And in this version we clarified, because we mentioned he had a cross burned on his lawn. It's a thing that Sammy talks about, Daniel J. Watts, you'll hear from in just a second.
Yep.
It used to just say, they burned a cross on your lawn and you're worried about ruffling a few feathers. We updated it to, they burned a cross on your Hancock Park lawn. Because I think people sometimes feel like, oh, that's something that just happened in the South, or that's something that happened so long ago. And we wanted to put a punctuation on, no, in the middle of Los Angeles,
That's right.
in the West,
That's right.
in a time where people feel they have moved past this, that still happened there. And in its own manifestations is happening now. So I'm gonna pass it on to my, you and my brother Daniel to speak more, because I could speak about this for so long. But I will just say I fell more in love with him, the man, the musicianship, and I also felt deeply for the soul, the cost of his soul. And for any of us who have public facing selves, it really is also an examination today. Where do we speak up? What is the cost? How are you trying to move our people forward? And how do we move forward in solidarity with each other, so we are not swallowing so much of the pain and poison as we try to move forward?
I love that phrase. It's a beautiful phrase. I wrote it down. I'm going to hold on to it the rest of the day. Again, I say all the time, this audience knows I always leave this studio smarter every day than when I come in. And there's always a phrase or two or three that I hold on to at the conclusion of every 3-hour show every day of the week. And I love that phrase, the cost of grace. There is a cost to grace, and I love that phrase, the cost of grace. I'm going to pull Daniel in, I promise, in just a second here. Before I do that, though, just tell me, when you say, because it isn't always the case. I happen to be a student of Dr. King, and the more I've studied him over the years, the more I've fallen in love with him, because he is, as I say, as advertised. When you really study King in the last year of his life, you're talking about the last performance of Nat King Cole. You study King the last year of his life, when everybody turns against him because he comes out against the Vietnam War, and he's disinvited to speak at black churches, and they cancel his commencement addresses, and he's persona non grata. He's really toxic. King is in the last year of his life. It's not 2 years later that we honor him with a holiday and all that, but King died a toxic personality in this country. But the more I studied that last year, the more I fell in love with him, because he still showed up as the king that I believed him to be. So when you said you studied Nat King Cole, you got to do the research of Nat King Cole very quickly here, Patricia, and you fell more in love with him. Unpack that for me right quick, and I want to put Daniel in here.
I'll say I fell more in love with the muscularity that it took to step out onto a stage, to step out onto a national platform, to continue to show up, both publicly and privately. There were a lot of parts of the civil rights movement, March on Washington, sometimes very publicly, sometimes a little more privately, what he funded. But I think we think of a lot of our leaders and heroes as kind of impenetrable people who just woke up and the tide wasn't against them. They just got to walk bravely through, to their destination. And I got to know the tide that was against him. I got to know the places. There was some article where he was quoted that a makeup brand said his face couldn't sell lipstick, right? Those from the they poisoned his dog in Hancock Park, and still he tried to make records to make people feel proud. He tried to fund things to advance civil rights. He tried to ride a line that had a cost, but he kept showing up. And I think that's the thing is, there's no perfect answer, but there's a how do I keep showing up to try and push things forward. And so I was always so enchanted by his musicianship, but I also really fell in love with sometimes the quiet and sometimes the more loud and radical side, especially towards the end, where he was really trying to take the platform that he had and push it not only for the possibilities of who we could be, but also to try to make it easier for the next generation, for you to join in Hancock Park, for me to take on my artistic leadership and feel like my voice is a little more free because he tried to get it there.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, Dule Hill, fine thespian, stars as Nat King Cole, and Daniel J. Watts, who joins us now, stars as Sammy Davis Jr. So, Daniel, put you on the spot here. Take me inside this last show. Take me inside the scene, and tell me about the interaction between your character, Sammy Davis Jr., and that of Dule Hill's character, Nat King Cole.
Oh man, so it's the final recording of the Nat King Cole show. It's December 17th, 1957, and Nat is about to get started, and one of his friends has not shown up yet. He's a little bit nervous, and his makeup artist has just come in as well to powder his face. Now, a lot of people don't know, but they used to powder Nat King Cole's face until it entered his life. Like he was in white face when he was on the show. So we're starting there. We're stripping away his sense of self and trying to whiten him up in order to be palatable for America. And by this time, it's gotten to his resolve. He's also read in the newspaper that the reasons why the Nat King Cole show was closing, and I think, Patricia, correct me if I'm wrong, but we took a line from this article that he wrote when he said, after he left his show, that Madison Avenue was afraid of the dark because he couldn't get a national sponsorship due to Madison Avenue, the advertising agencies not really pushing major ads because they feared that they would lose business in the South. So all of this is kind of boiling up, and Sammy shows up as a sense of Nat's shadow self to get him to say and really express himself, to get what's on his mind. And Sammy is going to employ any tactic that he can in order to get Nat, our Dule, to go out with a bang. And it's a push and pull. Nat was always a very reserved individual. He walked the line, especially at that time in 1957. In order to even be on national television, you had to be akin to a Barack Obama. You had to be able to, I don't want to say Barack to be palatable, but you needed to be palatable. You had to be able to go down smooth. You had to be easygoing. You couldn't, because I remember also at that time, there was a huge conflict because Amos and Andy was a very popular show on TV. And, people don't know that Amos and Andy started as a radio show that was performed by two white men pretending to be black. And eventually it became a national televised show. There was George Kingfish Stevens and Amos and Andy. And a lot of black people stopped getting jobs. They stopped getting work. They stopped getting loans because this TV show was painting black people in such a light that people didn't want to work with them. So Nat's show was a refreshing opportunity to show, like, no, we are refined people. We are beautiful people. We are, not so much that there's anything wrong with the Amos and Andy, but it just painted us in one stroke.
Yeah.
And Nat King Cole came on the scene and allowed us to do that. So all this is happening, all this is coming, and Sammy is really urging Nat to get to the root of the problem, get to the root of the matter, and not only get to it, but also express it.
Yeah.
Like my great-grandmother used to say, there's more room out than in. So that's kind of like what we're using here.
No, I love your grandmother's expression. I got 90 seconds here. We'll continue when we come forward, of course. Let me just ask you right quick. I'm asking this question of Daniel J. Watts. I'm not asking this question of your character. All these years later, when you're starring in a play, bioplay, and you have to wrestle with the notion that a guy of Nat King Cole's stature had his face powdered time and time again. He was of a darker hue, but they powdered him so much to make him look less dark on TV, on stage. How do you process that as an actor all these years later?
It's just not that much different. We're still playing these games in various ways. There are a lot of lines in the show. Patricia can tell you better, but there are a lot of lines in the show that these are things that have been said to us recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just something that somebody said on 1957. They said it last week.
Yeah.
Not even thinking twice about it. So I get it.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I was laughing because it is funny, but it ain't funny, if you know what I mean. We do deal with this as black people far too often, even in 2025. When we come forward, I want to just give Patricia an opportunity to unpack this comment for me, this line a bit more. It's been uttered a couple times now, once or twice by Patricia, once by Daniel, but that line that you may not be familiar with, that Nat King Cole actually said publicly. We know his grace. Patricia talked about the cost of grace. We always saw how graceful Nat King Cole was whenever he showed up. But to utter that line, to write that line publicly, that Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark, not something you necessarily associate with Nat King Cole saying publicly. I want to unpack that in a great deal more when we come forward talking about the new bioplay, Lights Out, Nat King Cole. The co-writer of the bioplay is our guest in this hour, Patricia McGregor, as is Daniel J. Watts, who plays the character Sammy Davis Jr., alongside Dule Hill's Nat King Cole. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Alexandria Icamoni with BIN News Now. Family members are furious after a San Bernardino, California police officer appeared to slam a black 17-year-old girl face first to the ground while detaining her. The girl's mother spoke at a news conference.
She didn't deserve nothing that she had happened to her. I'll be taking her to the hospital again today. She's still complaining about her face hurting.
Former New York Congressman Charles Rangel has died at the age of 94. Rangel was elected to the U.S. House in 1971 and served 46 years in the chamber before retiring in 2017. He was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Black sports fans are on edge as the Knicks look to even out their 2-1 series with the Pacers tonight. With the Knicks still on the road in Indiana, several watch parties across New York City and other cities are being held for Game 4. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two different outcomes for LA's baseball teams on Memorial Day. The Dodgers got home runs from Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith in a 7-2 win at Cleveland. The teams meet up again tonight. After winning 8 straight, the Angels have lost 3 in a row. The Yankees beat the Angels 5-1. The Angels will try again tonight with the Yankees at Anaheim Stadium. Oklahoma City is only 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They beat Minnesota 128-126 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for OKC guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the NBA MVP. This young brother is fun to watch. His mid-range game is outstanding. Game 5 is Wednesday night in OKC. Game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight in Indianapolis. Indiana has a 2-1 lead over New York. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
I love you for sentimental reasons. I hope you do believe me. I'll give you my heart. I love you, and you alone were meant for me. Please give your loving heart to me, and say we'll never part.
The new bioplay is called Lights Out. Nat King Cole is co-written by Colman Domingo and our guest in this hour, Patricia McGregor. Daniel J. Watts plays Sammy Davis Jr. In this bioplay, and Nat King Cole himself is played by Dule Hill, and we're honored to be talking in this hour about this new amazing piece of work, once again, called Lights Out, Nat King Cole. So you mentioned this earlier, Patricia, and Daniel J. Watts came back to it himself. But take me inside this line that Nat King Cole himself wrote and put out publicly, that Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark. We don't think about Nat King Cole making those kinds of expressions publicly, but tell me more, Patricia.
Well, in 1958, just a little over a year after the show closed, in Ebony magazine, he wrote an article which I think was one of the most transparent about his frustration and disappointment and anger and sadness. And because he usually didn't show that part. Everyone who knew him knew he had that part. I'm going to read you a part that leads up to the Madison Avenue's Afraid of the Dark. He said, "For 13 months, I was the Jackie Robinson of television. After a trailblazing year that shattered all the old bugaboos about Negroes on TV, I found myself standing there with the bat on my shoulder. The men who dictate what Americans see and hear didn't want to play ball." And then he goes on to speak more about the success of the show and the critical success and even the ratings, and yet they still couldn't get a sponsor. And so he concludes it with this statement that was the springboard in many ways of our exploration, which is Madison Avenue's afraid of the dark. And one of the reasons we loved looking at Nat is he is an example of, what more do you want me to do? He sung in many languages. He played all of these instruments. He was the epitome of grace. He did, and at a certain point you say to yourself, what more can I do? Nothing.
Yeah.
There is nothing more I can do, it feels at times. So this is, the play at least, is a wrestling of the soul. And in many ways, we have a very public side, which is some of the show is the performances that are happening on the show. But a percentage of the shows are in his dressing room. And it's really him when Sammy appears to him. There's a bit of Christmas Carol in there. There's a bit of like Jelly's Last Jam. George C. Wolfe is a real hero of mine. And so when Chimney Man comes and Jelly's Last Jam, he's there to kind of do this exorcism to get him to get out the things he's been holding on. And I think that article was one of the clearest examples of a lot of the things that he was always feeling, but he decided to try to cover in grace and ease. He decided that was the tool he was going to try and use. But at a certain point, do you feel like that tool is not enough in order to move us forward? And I think this piece looks at that, and the article was an articulation of him and all the feelings he had of he kind of hit every marker that you could hit, and yet still it wasn't enough.
Yeah. We're talking about this new bioplay, Lights Out, Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole, a genius and an icon, to be sure. But so was Sammy Davis Jr. I mean, on many people's scorecards, Sammy Davis Jr. is the greatest entertainer that ever lived. Certainly when you talk about that he was a triple, one could even argue a quadruple threat, Sammy did everything and did everything well. What is it like for you, Daniel J. Watts, to embody a character of his stature, Sammy Davis Jr.?
Oh, it's terrifying. Terrifying. In the best way. Anyone who actually got to witness, Sammy. I obviously never saw him in person, but I mean, he was like my North Star since I was 6. And like he sang, he danced, he tap danced, he did impressions, he did gun tricks, he could play drums, trumpet, trombone, saxophone, xylophone. Like he was literally a genius as an entertainer, and and he had to do all of that to receive the accolades, to even just be able to stand amongst Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, who all they had to do was sing.
Yeah.
And so playing Sammy and I don't want to impersonate the man. I feel like a lot of times that's what happens. Often it's like I want to give the essence of Sam as much as possible, and just kind of let him play through me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a joy if I'm really being honest at this point. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Patricia, I'm always fascinated by this balance. It seems to me, and balance can be the wrong word. You're the playwright, not me, but my word is balance. So feel free to disabuse me of that notion if you will. But I'm always fascinated by playwrights. By in this case, you're co-writing with Colman Domingo. As to how you balance the message with the music, because clearly, if people are going to see a bioplay about Nat King Cole, they want to hear the music. You better have some music in there if we're coming to see it. And yet, it's clear from this conversation that there is a message that you wanted to deliver about the night side, the dark side that Nat King Cole was wrestling with. So I'm asking a creative question here, I guess, or a question of a creative, how one goes about balancing the message and the music in a bioplay like this about Nat King Cole.
Well, when Colman and I write together, we call ourselves Sugar and Dynamite, and you never know which one's sugar, which one's dynamite, and I think that's true of the piece itself.
Yeah.
So we give enough sugar, we give enough entertainment, we give enough of what you think you're coming for, and then we turn it on its head. It's, again, I have a lot of heroes, but theatrically George C. Wolfe is one of my favorites, and he would often, I feel like he throws a big party and then he'll pull the rug out and say, okay, this is what we're really here to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when we worked on the piece, we got the deep joy to just listen to the catalog of Nat's music and B-sides and all kinds of things, and then start to select which pieces do we think will serve the story. And sometimes that was about a narrative, like starting with Nature Boy. To us, that's kind of opening a portal, adding Smile in, which was talking about the smile, the performance of the smile, the cost of the smile. And then sometimes we wanted to do things just for the theatrical, the spectacular theatrical nature. Our tap choreographer, Jared Grimes, there is a piece in there, Me and My Shadow, and it's a mashup. John McDaniels did Sit Right Down and Write Myself a Letter and Me and My Shadow. And there is a tap number that people stand in the middle of the performance, not at the end of the show, after this tap number. It's so spectacular and gives us so much, and actually has great narrative, because not only is it a spectacular feat, but it's also talking about this moment where he finally really allows himself to tap into, no pun intended, his rage and his pain and his voice and the things that go unspoken. So we built a lot of that. We built a lot of the sugar. Coleman's partner often says, Raul says it's a grenade wrapped in a sheet cake. And part of what's been amazing in this part of the journey, in this part of the development, is we actually realize the ensemble, because the actors we have Crystal Joy Brown playing Eartha, and Natalie, Katina Miller. We have an all-star cast of people. And we've actually realized we could put a little more dynamite into it. It has been, from time to time, people often say, is it a musical? Is it a play with music? I think it sits comfortably in a play with music, because we really are, with some spectacular, entertaining tools, trying to tell a story. And that story happens to have a lot of entertainment. But what we've learned, at least in this last run, is I think the things that are beautiful and entertaining are so much so that we actually have room to pull back on some of those and give even more of those private moments, even more of that wrestling. And that's been a beautiful discovery that I think we really attended to the end. There's 20 songs in there right now. We give you a whole concert.
There you go.
And yet the story is what we're there to actually do, and a part of the story that you don't know. And it sometimes ruffles people's feathers, and we're intentionally saying, there's a line in it that Daniel says, which is, some of you thought you were coming for a nice, easy holiday show. Welcome to the fever dream. And I think part of what we're trying to use our platform for is to say, yeah, we can do all of it. There is nothing that Daniel J. Watts cannot do. When I tell you, we were very specific about, we knew it was an impossible task to ask somebody to play, Sammy, and Daniel, who's a core collaborator and dear friend of mine. It does not get better than Daniel J. Watts and Dule Hill. What they are offering is spectacular, and yet we're not there for the spectacular.
Yeah.
We're there for what's underneath the spectacular.
No, I hear it and I love it. Lights Out, Nat King Cole, co-written by Colman Domingo and Patricia McGregor, is running at the New York Theater Workshop until June 29th. So if you're in New York or headed to New York or want to go to New York and see some great theater, it's playing again at the New York Theater Workshop until June 29th. This conversation continues when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number, because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in,
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed. We're talking about the new bioplay, Lights Out, Nat King Cole, co-written by Colman Domingo, and our guest in this hour, Patricia McGregor. And Daniel J. Watts, also with us, actor who stars as Sammy Davis Jr. In this bioplay alongside Dule Hill, who plays Nat King Cole. I want to go to you first, Patricia, and then right quick back to Daniel, and you'll see why I'm going in this order. I want to ask about the music and how Daniel processes the music. You heard Patricia say earlier, there are like 20 songs in this bioplay, so you certainly get your music's worth, and the message in the music as well is there. You mentioned listening to so much of his catalog and being able to hear the B-sides. I am such a music lover, this audience knows, they hear it every day, that when I'm referring to a separate guest or a different guest who may appear on the back side of the hour, so sometimes I'll do one guest in the first half hour, Patricia, one guest in the second half hour, but I always say on the B-side of this hour, because I love music so much, that's where that B-side reference comes from on any given day on this program. You mentioned the B-side, I kind of chuckled. When you, it's one thing to know these hits, But I'm just curious as to what you heard. What did your ear hear when you started listening to Nat King Cole, the B-sides, Patricia?
I'll say one that I don't know how much of a B-side it was in his day, but one of the songs, and it's actually what we call the coda, it's the last song of the piece, which is "The Party's Over." And it he says, "The party's over, it's time to call it a day. They've burst your pretty balloon and taken the moon away." And it's time to wind up the masquerade, make your mind up, the piper must be paid. And to me, part of what I love about that piece and the piece ending the show is it's a time where the lights come up, Dule literally takes off his jacket, and we transform into whatever time period the play is being done. When I always say, when we're there, we're in 2025. We're at the New York Theater Workshop. We're on East 4th Street, and we are no longer performing these characters. We are ourselves saying the party's over. The show is over. But the whole point of the show is there's a line and it says, it's time to wake up. And at that point, we are handing the show over to the audience and saying, what song are you going to sing? What race are you going to run? In what lane, how, and why? Because the party's over, but the action has just begun.
You see
so
why?
I'd say a lot of the pieces I love, but the party's over was a real gift.
You see why she's a creative and a pretty good one at that. She's a storyteller, and I love it. More with Patricia McGregor and Daniel J. Watts when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Thank you, Tavis.
The piper must be paid. The party's over. The candles flicker and dim. You danced and dreamed through the night. It seemed to be right just being with him. Now you must wake up.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
BET and PBS, The Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Patricia McGregor and Daniel J. Watts. Daniel J. Watts, my time is tight. 3 minutes left here. Let me ask you right quick. What it is like for you being on stage every night with all of that music inside of you, around you, sharing that with the audience, the music I'm talking about.
Oh, it's everything. I think what's more important for us is to be able to like dissect the music and get, the hits. You can listen to these songs on the radio and hear it, or on Spotify or whatever. But the way we deconstruct them, you hear them differently, and you can understand the cost. You can understand Christmas song hits you differently once you get to the end of the show. When you think about the cost.
Yeah.
So it's like we lift you. The orchestrations that John McDaniel did are gorgeous. The band is beautiful. They swing. They're in tight. So we give you all the precision and love and warmth that music always does, while also hitting you with a little bit of contextual history, and to help you better understand what it is that we're trying to get at. Like, yes, we're going to give you what you need, or rather, we're going to give you what you want, so we can give you what you need.
Yep.
And the music is the best way to do it.
Yeah. I've got 90 seconds left, Patricia McGregor. I give it to you. Finally, what's your sense of the way, I love that phrase you gave us earlier in this conversation, the cost of grace. I'm, again, going to hold on to that all day long. The cost of grace. We saw Nat King Cole's grace personified, saw it on display all the time. But say a final word here very quickly about how he showed up on his own terms.
I mean, there's a great line in the piece where Sammy talks about Nat saying, "I'm going to do this my way." And Sammy says, "That's Sinatra's tune." And there's a little bit of a wink. And I think his lane was the virtuosity of his music, the beauty of his life, the kind of fairy tale that he created, and then towards the end of his life unmasking that fairy tale had a cost, and hopefully encouraging the next generations to create their own stories, and that maybe the fairy tale won't be so heavy, that it won't cost so much to live in the castle. And I feel like through his journey, through the beauty and grace and virtuosity of his music, and also his truth telling, especially at the end, he liberated me to hopefully tell more of my truth earlier on.
It's called Lights Out. Nat King Cole, co-written by Colman Domingo, and our guest in this hour, Patricia McGregor. Daniel J. Watts stars as Sammy Davis Jr. Dule Hill is Nat King Cole, playing now at the New York Theater Workshop until June 29th. You done good, Patricia. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Tavis. I appreciate you.
And Daniel J. Watts, appreciate you, sir. Thank you for your time as well.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Man, my honor to have you both on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Ain't no use in diving. What's the use of jiving? Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. The buzzer told the monkey you were choking me. Release your hold and I will set you free. The monkey looked the buzzer right dead in the eye and said, your story's so touching, but it sounds just like a lie. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay right. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Icamoni with BIN News Now. Family members are furious after a San Bernardino, California police officer appeared to slam a black 17-year-old girl face first to the ground while detaining her. The girl's mother spoke at a news conference.
She didn't deserve nothing that she had happened to her. I'll be taking her to the hospital again today. She's still complaining about her face hurting.
Former New York Congressman Charles Rangel has died at the age of 94. Rangel was elected to the U.S. House in 1971 and served 46 years in the chamber before retiring in 2017. He was a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Black sports fans are on edge as the Knicks look to even out their 2-1 series with the Pacers tonight. With the Knicks still on the road in Indiana, several watch parties across New York City and other cities are being held for Game 4. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two different outcomes for LA's baseball teams on Memorial Day. The Dodgers got home runs from Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith in a 7-2 win at Cleveland. The teams meet up again tonight. After winning 8 straight, the Angels have lost 3 in a row. The Yankees beat the Angels 5-1. The Angels will try again tonight with the Yankees at Anaheim Stadium. Oklahoma City is only 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They beat Minnesota 128-126 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for OKC guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP. This young brother is fun to watch. His mid-range game is outstanding. Game 5 is Wednesday night in OKC. Game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight in Indianapolis. Indiana has a 2-1 lead over New York. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
It's showtime at the Apollo minus the Kiki Shepherd. With about a with a leopard print. Teddy, Pendergrass, cooler than Freddie Jackson, sipping a milkshake in a snowstorm.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this third and final hour of our program today. And in this hour, as promised, comedian Arnez J is with us to talk about the success of his very first comedy special in a decade, Not Gonna Stop. Plus, he's back out on tour. We'll give you the lowdown on all of that as we move through this hour. First, here's Arnez J doing his thing.
Arnez?
Well, we're here now.
If you can laugh at them, you can laugh at yourself. That's part of our problem, America. This is why I'm doing this special. I'm tired of racism right now. You gotta laugh at yourself because there's something funny about all of us. Ladies, quit looking at me like I'm sexy, okay? If you was in a club and I came up to you looking like this, you were like, girl, let's get the fuck out of here and enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all don't know what I'm doing when I do that? I'm so fucking tired of TikTok right now. You go to bed at 6:30 and don't go to sleep until 4:30 in the morning. Because you flipping through TikTok all goddamn night. Can't even have a conversation with the person you're in the bed with because y'all turned the opposite way looking at TikTok. Oh, baby, look at my video. Look at that. Look at mine. Look at mine. You ever had the sound knocked out of you? Wow. Oh, nigga. I said, Ronnie, come give your brother a hug. Nope. Squirrel nuts.
Man, you killed it with this thing, and I've been looking at these numbers on the number of views, Arnez J. You got to be happy with these numbers, man.
I'm very, very happy with these numbers. I need to see you, though.
Yeah, I wish I could see you, man. I need to give you a hug, brother. It's been too long. It has
Yeah.
been far too long. When I saw you on the big board in our studio that you were coming on in our offices, I said, I hope he's coming in studio. And they said, no, he ain't gonna make it. I said, oh man, it happens sometimes. You're busy, but when you're out this way again, we'll get you in here. But for starters, it is good to hear your voice. I'll get to the conversation in a second. Arnez J and I have known each other for years, have not seen each other in years. How are you at the outset here? That's a long.
I couldn't.
All I asked was how you doing, and you gave me this long, pregnant pause, Negro. Is it that bad?
Did you call it pregnant?
That was a pregnant pause, Arnez J.
No, you know what it was,
yeah.
Tavis? Because one thing about me, and I don't know why this is, I never like to sound like anybody else or be cliche-ish.
Right.
I don't like to have everything cliche. I'm in a great spot in life. I'm in a very happy part of life. I don't have any complaints.
Right.
As long as God allows me to wake up every day and with a smile on my face, I'm okay.
Yeah.
That's why I want to make sure I give you the right answers.
No, I appreciate that. That's thoughtful, and I appreciate that. So I mentioned a moment ago, this is your first comedy special in like a decade. Why so long? I mean, obviously you've still been touring, but why so long for a special?
Well, I've been on the road since that decade.
Mm-hmm.
I would say within that 10 years, I may have been home out of that 10 years, probably 6 months. I'm gone that much. And when I give material and when I do a show, because I do a whole lot of praying, it needs to be right. And it needs to be, it's a lot of different elements involved, like with this special that we did. I'm so thankful for it. But Netflix turned me down on this special.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, because when I say God is great, God is great. When I got a call in 5 days after my special went straight to YouTube, because I have ownership of it, which I knew God has a plan. When a lot of times you don't know what that plan is, but He had the plan for me.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 days, we're at 1 million views.
Mm.
That's just not done.
Yeah.
Not done.
I checked the numbers before I came on the air here, and you're pushing near 2 million right now, and again pushing near 2 million views, and you own the content. I ain't mad at him. So
can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, Tavis, let me say this. The reason I got, I'm not going to call it inspiration,
mm-hmm.
but I got a lot of my fortitude from when you were on the air, when I used to watch you
mm-hmm.
all the time. You had your own show,
mm-hmm.
because you were direct without malice, but you were direct in, this is the truth that I'm giving you and your truth.
Mm.
When I used to see you, I used to say, a lot of times I want to answer like that.
Yeah.
I want to answer the way that you answer, but at the same time, I'm a big kid anyway. I play around. But I wanted to be serious in my answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, when I get the chance to tell you how I loved how direct you were in your answers, whether it was right or whether it was wrong, you felt it was direct. You knew it was direct for you. And let me say thank you for that, because you embezzled a lot of that in me.
No, I appreciate that. It means a lot to hear that coming from you. I've said
I feel tough.
No, I appreciate it. I've said it many times, and I mean this, that all we know is what we're giving. We never know what people are receiving. And the reason why every time you show up, you give everything you have, you give your best, you show up in a transparent way. I believe that what comes from the heart reaches the heart. But in all the vast iterations of my work over the years, from BET to Tom Joyner, from to PBS and NPR, and all the things I've done, and now this syndicated radio program, all the things I have done, I've always tried to just show up as my authentic self and give everything that I have to give. And again, I've said many times, I don't have a monopoly on the truth. To your earlier point about whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, I receive that, because I don't have a monopoly on the truth. All I know is that I am, I think, obligated to share what it is I see, to speak the truth that I know, but to be humble enough to accept that I don't have a monopoly on the truth. There is the truth, and there is the way to the truth. And not all of us, not all of us wakes up at the same time. We don't all take the same journey. So again, I try to, share the truths that I do know with a great deal of humility, but it always means something to me and my mama listening in Indiana right now. Whenever there are people on this program or anywhere I show up, and they are appreciative of what I've tried to do, I feel the same way about your comedy, and I'm glad I got a whole hour, the rest of this hour, that is to talk to Arnez J about his comedy. I am celebrating the huge success of this comedy special. You mentioned Netflix turning him down. I want to come back to that first, and a great deal more to cover with Arnez J for the hour on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint. KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast. Oh my God. But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on. On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Now, the reason I do this type of comedy this way is because I'm trying to put everything in the forefront without offending people. I'm just trying to preach the truth. I'm tired of racism. I'm tired of the word racism. We should be over this. We can make this better, but you gotta wanna make it better. This diversity in here, I love it. So what, you Latino? So what, I'm black? So what, you white? So what, I'm black? Invite me to your house, I'll invite you to mine. Let's learn about each other. So what, we come from different cultures. So what if you go down to a white neighborhood during Christmas holidays, all the cars parked the same way? So what? I know you black people like, oh, hell no.
Our guest in this hour is the comedian Arnez J. Let me start with that. I got a few things I want to go back to and give you a chance to unpack for me. But let me start with this. That clip started with you saying the reason why I do this type of comedy. How would you, to that point, Arnez J, how would you describe your type, your brand of comedy?
I really think that I'm so much different than most
comedians because my world is different than theirs. Meaning, I've been a loner all my life. Basically, I was a loner. I was 10 years old, catching a city bus by myself with money I would earn from an allowance, going somewhere thinking I'm really doing something. I've always viewed the world from my eyes in a different perspective than what a normal person would view. So when I say my type of comedy, some things can be hurtful, meaning some of my own, my own people. That's why my fans are so great. Those are my family. They're not just fans, they're family.
Yeah.
Because in the world of entertainment, there's always going to be a jealousy and envy. And comedy's no different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't want you to succeed because you're different.
Yeah.
People used to say, well, I remember one time we was playing basketball with a lot of stars that we all know. We playing basketball and everybody started cracking, we crack on each other. And brother was like, well, this is such and such. And they were imitating each other. And then somebody said, well, this is Arnez J. And he started flipping. That's my comedy. So he started like doing cartwheels. I said, well, you're doing it pretty good. So you must have been watching me a lot. So I don't mind being that clown, that gesture. I mean, I had somebody call me Stephen Fetchit one time. But what they don't realize, Stephen Fetchit was an icon. Stephen Fetchit made history. Stephen Fetchit got paid even back then.
Yeah.
Upwards of other comedians. So I don't mind being a clown because I know that my brain is serious even when I act that way.
Yeah.
But one thing I am is different.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to be different. So I don't mind. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. But you mentioned that different thing, and it jumped out at me because one of the ways in which your comedy is different, and my mind went straight there when you shared the story a moment ago, Arnez, of somebody imitating you by doing flips, doing cartwheels. You do have a particular and unique brand of physical comedy, and there have been some folk who've done quite well with that. I'm thinking of Jerry Lewis. I am thinking I could do this all day long, but I'm thinking even of why am I blanking on his name right now? Jim Carrey, the white guy on Living Color, who went on to have a great career. So Jim Carrey,
and even somewhat to Flip Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. So Flip Wilson, exactly. So tell me how that became, if we're going to call that your lane, and if people are going to imitate you by doing backflips and cartwheels, how did the physical part become such a part of your comedic brand?
Because I've always been a very physical athlete.
Right.
I jumped off my mama's roof with a pair of underwear on and a red towel around my neck trying to emulate Superman.
You didn't get hurt, I hope. I hope you didn't get hurt, Arnez J.
What?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Number one, let me tell you something about black people. We will go to the edge, and your mama will come out to see if you're all right. And then she will whoop your ass.
That's exactly right.
You know
she will smack that behind. Absolutely.
I ran and did the Superman jump off my mama's roof in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I missed the branch I was reaching for. The little safety pin that I had in the towel went in my neck. My mama came out, in the cartoons, how that when you hit the ground, that dirt goes up around you.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it went. I think it had something to do with the stunt of my wiener. I think because I hit so hard. That's my excuse.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So I've always been a visual life person. When I see stuff visually, I emulate that because I'm not afraid to go to the edge. And then, like you say, my lane, well, let me have my lane. Let me be in my lane. If you don't like my lane, then don't drive over in my lane. Don't come to my lane.
Yeah.
But my fans have just been so gracious to me and so important to me because everybody can't do the same type of comedy.
Yeah, I get that.
Everybody can't sing the same. There'll never be another Luther Vandross, not the way he sang. There'll never be. I mean, so anybody can sing about a box of Cheerio and make you want to go make a baby. That ain't right. But that's how cold his voice was.
Yeah, I take you.
So when I do, like, let's say Uncle Charlie, when I pull my pants up right up under my breastplates, right close to the nipple, I'm not trying to look cute for nobody. I'm trying to show you who we have in our family. That's my job. And if I'm not willing to go there and let you see how it really looks, then why am I doing it? That I'm half doing it. I'm not gonna do my type of comedy.
Now you got to go there.
It just ain't gonna work.
Now you got to go all the way there. So you said something earlier that I want to come back to. And this could be funny, it could be serious. I'll take it any way you want to take it. But I'm looking at your tour schedule for the rest of this year.
Yeah.
And I'm juxtaposing what I'm looking at on this paper in front of me with what you said earlier in this conversation, Arnez, about the fact that over the last 10 years, you may have been home 6 months. When you said that, and again, looking at this tour schedule, which I'll share as much as I can with the audience in this hour, I thought about your comment that that you're always on the road, and again, for the last 10 years, you may have been home 6 months. I said to somebody in conversation the other day, and I meant this sincerely, that every one of us is running. We're running. We're all running. We're either running from something or we're running to something, but we're all running. Now, my story is, and I told this in my memoir, what happened to me when I was a kid at the age of 12, which I won't get into now. But I admit to you, I've been running from what happened to me when I was 12 my whole life. I am now 60. I've been running from that thing since I was 12. And whatever success I've been blessed to have, it's because I've been running from that. I did not want my life to be defined by that. I tell that story.
You got molested?
Yeah. Well,
did you get molested?
No, not molested. No, I got beaten.
Okay. Well, I mean, because the reason that I went there is because we're in that same car.
Okay. So hold that thought 1 second. I'm gonna give you all the space you need to unpack this. So we're either running from something. My read is most of us are running from something or we're running to something. I've been running from, and whatever success I've had is because I did not want that moment of public humiliation and embarrassment and pain. I didn't want that moment to define me for the rest of my life. And so whatever you know Tavis has is because I've been trying to convince people that that wasn't me, and I didn't deserve that, and I didn't do that, and I shouldn't have been punished for that, et cetera, et cetera. And so I've been working this out. Now, with a few therapists along the way, but working this out, running from that. My sense is that, one, you either got to really, 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 really love your job to be on the road that much over a decade period of time, or I should say, or you're running from something or running to something when you're gone this much of the time, so much so that you refer to your fans as family. Now, there's a whole lot there. Unpack it any way you will. I'm going to shut up. It's all yours.
You smart as hell, boy.
Well, I don't know about all that, but
you are, because no one's ever brought it to me that way. And to be so factual and making me think about what you're saying. And like you said, we can make it funny or we don't have to make it funny.
Wherever you want to go, yeah.
Wow.
You running from or you running to? What is it? Because you can't stay on the road this much without running from or to something, Arnez.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Whoa. I'm running from being, I would consider, molested, and running from beatings. I'm running to clarity of the type of person that I am. I'm running away from that evilness, and I'm running to, and when I call my, oh my God, you're so damn smart. When I call my fans my family, I run to them because they are my safe haven.
I get it.
They appreciate what I do without any malice. They don't judge me. And I never
never thought of it the way that you brought it to me. But I'm giving you the answer to that question. So I run from the evilness and I run to my safe haven, which are my fans. And I've said this on stage. My fans owe me nothing. I needed them probably more than they needed me. Because I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to shout out the hurt that has been stored upon me, where I would be. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have had tragedy in their life, but you have to realize I had a brother that committed suicide. Had two more brothers that died alone. All three of my brothers that passed, they died alone with nobody around them. They were by themselves. I'm the oldest. And I should have, sometimes I feel them and I tell them I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm running from something, but I'm also, like I said, I'm running to clarity. My clarity is I'm okay. I don't ever want to let my fans down. That's why I never blamed them for anything. There's a lot of comedians that blame the audience. Oh, the audience wasn't this. Oh, they weren't that. That's not their fault. It's your fault.
No, I've seen. I trust me. I ain't gonna call no names, but you and I know some of the. We know the same people in this business, and I can call some names of some very well known people. I can see his face. So let me stop before I slip up and call the name. But I have been.
Well, don't worry. You can call his name because I got your back because I can thump.
Yeah. Well, I know you can. But I have been in audiences where I've seen comedians turn on the audience as if the audience had a problem. No, Negro, you ain't funny. You're not funny, and you're not gonna turn on us and make us feel like something's wrong with us because we ain't laughing at your unfunny stuff. You're not on tonight. But that's no reason to turn on the audience. I can't stand when comedians do that. When they turn on the audience because you just off your game on that particular night, or frankly, ain't got no business on stage in the first place. I digress on that point, but I know what you speak because I've seen it happen in real time, but they just turn on the audience. Now, why does all this? First of all, I want to thank Arnez J for being so transparent, so open. He's always been that way with me. I didn't see all this coming, but I appreciate his being open in that way. But let me tell you why this fascinates me. We'll get to it when we come forward. I just mentioned on this show last week in another conversation, the GOAT, Richard Pryor, out of Peoria, Illinois, born and raised in a whorehouse, and all the trauma and all the tragedy that Richard Pryor had to navigate through as a child. And out of all of that tragedy and all of that trauma comes the brilliance of the GOAT. Ain't nobody ever done it better than Richard Pryor. Never talked to a comedian in my career who didn't have Richard Pryor on the list of the greatest of all time, if not at the top of the list. And that's where he is for most comedians, at the top of the list. But that comedy comes out of all that pain. And so it doesn't surprise me that Arnez J ran to the stage using his gift to make the rest of us laugh as he's worked his way through his own thing. I want to pick the conversation up there when we come forward with Arnez J on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Alexandria Icamoni with BIN News Now. A mass shooting in Philadelphia's Fairmount Park left 2 dead and at least 9 others wounded on Monday night. At least 3 of the victims were minors. All of the wounded have been reported to be in stable condition.
No, we have no one stopped at this time. Homicide is on location. We'll start going through the process.
The FBI is reopening probes into a number of high-profile unsolved cases. Those cases include the cocaine found at the White House during the Biden administration, the leaking of the Supreme Court Dobbs case that overturned Roe v. Wade, and the pipe bombs found before the January 6th Capitol riot. The man who allegedly attacked rapper Tory Lanez in prison is claiming he acted in self-defense. The alleged attacker told TMZ that he heard the rapper was planning to attack him and had put a bounty on his head. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the touchdown? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. Two different outcomes for LA's baseball teams on Memorial Day. The Dodgers got home runs from Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith in a 7-2 win at Cleveland. The teams meet up again tonight. After winning 8 straight, the Angels have lost 3 in a row. The Yankees beat the Angels 5-1. The Angels will try again tonight with the Yankees at Anaheim Stadium. Oklahoma City is only 1 win away from the NBA Finals. They beat Minnesota 128-126 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds for OKC guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP. This young brother is fun to watch. His mid-range game is outstanding. Game 5 is Wednesday night in OKC. Game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight in Indianapolis. Indiana has a 2-1 lead over New York. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Atlanta Dream. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and comedian Arnez J. I am an unapologetic Arnez J fan, have been for decades now, and always thrilled to be in conversation with him. We started this conversation saying to each other that we need to see each other, give each other a hug. I've not seen him in far too long, but I'm delighted to celebrate his success. Hadn't done a comedy special in 10 years, and he put one out literally last month, and that sucker's pushing near 2 million views now. And the good news is he owns it. He mentioned that Netflix turned him down. I didn't forget about that. I'm going to get back to that a little bit later in this conversation that I've got him for the rest of the hour. But I was saying to Arnez and to you, you listening all across the country right now, I was saying to you that he's on the road all the time. And by his own count, he may have been home for 6 months over the last 10 years. And so I asked him, what are you running from? What are you running to? There's something behind this man, and I appreciate his openness and honesty and his transparency. I think we both gave each other that. I talked about what I've been running from since I was 12. He talked a bit about his experiences. But that's where, in some ways, as odd or oxymoronic as it may sound, in some ways that is the sweet spot. You don't get a Richard Pryor if you don't get the experiences that Richard Pryor had to endure as a kid growing up in Peoria. That's where that comedic greatness comes from. So Miles, my board op, and I were just talking. He said, does any great comedy come out of love? I said, sure. There are great comedians who tell great stories about relationships, and they make us laugh, and that's a beautiful thing. But the good stuff comes out of that drama. And so I'm looking now at Arnez's schedule. I'm just going to do this right quick. I'm just looking at July. I don't even have the dates in front of me leading up to July, but from July through December, this Negro does not go home until like a couple of days off at Christmas. I mean, every single week. He's in Tulsa in July. He's in Albuquerque in July. He's in Charlotte in July. He's in D.C. in August, in Baltimore in August, Milwaukee in August, Florida in August, Cincinnati in August. And then September, he's in Richmond, Virginia. He's in Virginia Beach. He's in Chicago. He's in Austin. He's in Phoenix. That's all in September. Then you got October. He's in Jacksonville and Tacoma. And then November, he's in Arlington and Cleveland and Orlando and Oklahoma City. And December, he's in Tampa. He's in Raleigh. This boy don't sit down. I mean, he just does it all the time. So when I referenced Pryor a moment ago and made the point that you don't get the GOAT if you don't get the drama that the GOAT had to endure, not asking you to compare yourself to Richard Pryor, that ain't the point. But put Arnez J in that frame and tell me whether or not we get the brilliance of your comedy now if we didn't have that Arnez J backstory.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like you have pretty much brought out something to what a lot of people really don't know about me. And we all are in a holding chamber.
Mm-hmm.
We're all, I think people that have greatness in them, and like you said, we're either running from or running to. I seriously think everybody has something to say,
mm-hmm.
but there's a time period when it should be said. When I first started talking about what happened to me by my athletic director in Fort Hood, Texas,
mm-hmm.
I was on the air talking to someone about being molested. And when someone got on the air and said that, I get a phone call saying somebody's on the back line, they need to talk to you. It was one of my childhood friends. Now we're grown men now.
Mm-hmm.
Childhood friend that told me he's listening to me, and it happened to him by the same person. Then I found out there's 8 other young black men that I know that it happened to and never knew it. I thought I was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And their stories are far worse than mine.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one. So the answer to that is no. You don't get it, because that's why I say my fans owe me nothing. I'm able to shout from the top of my lungs if I need to, the hurt and the disparities that I went through.
Yeah.
My daddy you have to realize my dad was a 2-time Vietnam vet.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he went through his things also. My dad used to beat me like I was the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know this. My dad shot me 3 times in my back because he had a flashback. He thought he was in Vietnam. When he called me Charlie, and I said, no, that ain't my name.
Mm-hmm.
I should have known. Charlie, we got visitors. Yeah, I got something for you, Charlie. Yeah, 38.
Yeah. I'm laughing because again, this is what great comedians do. They find humor in everything. His daddy shoots him in the back 3 times. He's telling jokes about it, but it is funny. But how did you have the capacity at that age, or when did you come to understand that your daddy didn't hate you when he shot you in the back 3 times, but he was trying to navigate his own trauma? When did you come to understand that?
Believe it or not, Tavis, I understood that a week later.
Okay.
And I was still young, but first of all, it was my fault.
Right.
Because I turned it to the Dirty Dozens channel. If I would have been watching that, if I'd have been watching Little House on the Prairie, the Jeffersons or something, I had to watch the Dirty Dozen. They in the battlefield fighting. Excuse my French. Yeah. I said, this nigga think we in war. When he called me, put it this way, a lot of good things happened. Yeah. I got to find out how fast it was because I was on the track team about a month later. Well, I was running at 100. My coach said, well, you been working out? When'd you get so fast? I said, put a gun in front of me, see what happens. You want this team to win that 4x4? 4x1? Put a gun down. And matter of fact, put me on the first leg, because as soon as I hear that, pow, you already know I'm triggered. Everybody in the field gonna get left. So, yeah, I mean, Tavis, I'm living now. But at the time when it happened, and I'm gonna say something. Yeah. I noticed you don't say that word, that N-word.
Not on the air, at least. Not on the air. Yeah, not on the air.
But see, I do. This is your air. This ain't mine. The reason I'm gonna tell you why I started. I never used to curse.
Right.
Even when I was doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say history and things come out to where we need it,
yeah,
so we can maneuver through life.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that word and without losing no sleep over it,
mm-hmm,
a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't say that word. First of all, you don't know my story.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why I say that word. And I don't ever say it to hurt anybody.
Right.
I use it in a phrase. The word nigga came from when I was 10 years old, working for a white farmer selling tomatoes after school.
Mm-hmm.
Little baskets of tomatoes in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
Used to go door to door selling tomatoes, little baskets, like it would cost like 40 cents to $1, something like that.
Right.
I went and knocked on this door through these very rich homes. White girl came to the door and I gave her my spiel. I'm here to sell tomatoes, such and such.
Mm-hmm.
She turned around, I swear to God, turned around and said, Mommy, there's a nigger at the door. Her mama came to the door and looked at me, said, don't ever come up to our house again, and slammed the door in my face.
Mm.
And you know what I said?
What?
Real talk. I said, I'm gonna buy your house one day. I went back looking for that house. It was what they call now Star Island.
Mm-hmm.
I went looking for that house. I don't remember that house, but I went looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fact of me being that young. I said it, and that's the first time that I know of somebody called me that word, besides when I went to Fort McCullough, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably the only black person that's seen a KKK meeting, went right past it. Dude, I got a book. I was in Fort McCullough, Alabama. They were having a KKK meeting when I was coming home from a baseball game through the woods. Let me tell you how scared I got, because I didn't know what was going on. I thought they was cooking hamburgers. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
When I had my bike. A nigga scared when he dropped his bike and he outrun the bike. I left my bike because they said, what is that noise? They started coming. Stayed on my bike. I got off my bike and I was getting it. Beat that, Tavis.
Yeah. No, I can't beat that. I can't. All I can do is say more with Arnez J when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Arnez J. I'm watching my time. It's getting away from me. So, Arnez, when Netflix turned you down for this comedy special, which is now pushing near 2 million views, and all that money belongs to you because you own it. So I said earlier, I ain't mad at you. But when Netflix turned you down and you saw what you were able to do on your own, which is not to suggest that at some point you won't end up back on Netflix. I've seen all kind of Negroes who have issues with Netflix, legitimate, and Netflix figures it out and they get a deal worked out. So who knows what happens down the road? I'm not even tripping on that. But But in the short run, though, what are your takeaways? What lessons have you learned? What blessings have you taken from being turned down for this special by Netflix? I want to just flip it.
The special is called Arnez J, Not Gonna Stop for a Reason.
Mm-hmm.
For a reason.
Yep.
I want to thank Netflix, and I hold no ill will feelings. Whatever the case may be, why they turned me down, I doesn't make me a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because so they empowered me.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed me to see I'm on the battlefield. Am I going to lay down, or am I going to get to the other side and win this?
Yeah,
we won.
Yeah, no, you won. You won
we
big.
Won.
No, you won big, man. That's a lot of
We
views and counting.
So I thank Nick. I Yeah. I don't hold any ill will, and I didn't hold any ill will, but I knew I had to get to work.
Yeah, I got you. Let me just ask you point blank again. I think this audience has figured out by now that you and I have known each other for a long time, and if nothing else, we're always open, honest, and transparent with each other, and I think the audience benefits from that transparency in this conversation. But this career, you've been at this for decades now. You've been doing this all across the country. I did find those dates, by the way. I started with July, but before July, since I'm heard across the country, May 30th through June 1st, he's in Philadelphia. June 6th through 8th, he's in Atlanta. June 13th through 15th, New Brunswick, New Jersey. June 19th through 22nd in Houston. Then he starts into July, as I mentioned earlier. We'll give you the email address, the website. As a matter of fact, let's do it right now. Where are all your dates posted, Arnez?
Just go to Arnez J Comedy. Just go to Arnez J Comedy, and that's my Instagram, and it has Facebook. It has the whole conglomerate.
Yeah.
You can go to. A lot of fans have asked about my sprays. I don't have it in a store. I have a store, arnezj.net, but I can't meet the demands right now. It's overwhelming.
Sure.
But just go to Arnez J
Comedy.
And you'll get the full schedule.
So there's Arnez J Comedy for the full schedule. I just gave you a sense of how fast he's moving, literally from right now all the way through the end of the year until Christmas. So Arnez J Comedy for all the dates. You would not be disappointed. I've seen him any number of times. I've been lucky as I've crisscrossed the country giving speeches and making appearances to literally bump into him in hotels and places and end up doing my thing. Go catch his show later that night. So I promise you, you won't be disappointed. When we come forward in our remaining moments, I do want to ask Arnez J, to the point of Netflix turning down this particular special, what a blessing that's turned out to be for him, whether or not all these years in, his comedy is where he thought it would be. I know some people that judge their success by how many TV shows they have and by this and that. And this brother just keeps on working and just keeps on stacking his chips. I ain't mad at him. But I want to just get his assessment of where he is in his comedic journey all these years in. Our remaining moments with Arnez J when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The Comedy Connection series features featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number, because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Does indeed, with our guest in this hour, who I've been just thrilled to be in conversation with once again publicly. Arnez J. I got 3 minutes left here. I'll give it all to him. Assess for me, after all the years I've known you and all the years you've been on the road and not going home, except for maybe 6 months over a decade period. Where are you in this comedy journey, and are you happy with the pace?
I'm very happy with the pace. A lot of people have asked me, well, why aren't you in more movies? Well, that's not where I'm channeled at right now. I've been back maybe a while back, but you know what? I'm satisfied. I'm very happy where I'm at, Tavis, because earlier I've turned down some projects and some projects I didn't get. But you have to realize back then, I was already doing grown man things, raising a child, family, trying to support them and do what I need to do as a man, and especially being away from home doing comedy. Everybody wants that form of faith, that fame and fortune when you first start out. But as I look now, I'm very happy where I'm at. I've made a great living. I have my bones. That I picked them. I don't know if I want to do movies and stuff like that anymore like that. It's not necessary.
Right.
For the simple fact, man, I watch a lot of my friends and people that I know that are in entertainment as far as actors. They're aging faster than me. I understand. Because I don't like wearing makeup. That stuff, as sooner or later, you start to age. And not only that, Tavis, you let's keep this real. It's a whole bunch of people. The glitz and the glamour looks good on the outside, but let me see what your bank account look like.
No, we're gonna leave it right there. I know what yours looks like. Well, I don't know, but I can imagine. I'm looking at these tour dates. I'm looking at these I'm a finance person anyway. Yes, you are. There's a reason, as he said earlier, that this tour, this special is called Not Gonna Stop. You can catch it on YouTube. It's streaming right now. Not Gonna Stop. Almost 2 million views and counting. I know there'll be more after people hear this conversation and get a chance to see what Arnez J does, as only he does it. Again, there are dates everywhere. Philadelphia, Atlanta, New Jersey, Texas, Albuquerque, North Carolina. Go to Arnez J Comedy for all the deets on where you can catch him live on stage. Arnez J Comedy is where all the deets are. I'll close on this note, man. It's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do what you love every day on your terms. I'll leave it at that. He does what he does. He loves it. He's awfully good at it, and he does it on his own terms. And his bank account ain't empty. Matter of fact, that was the sound of another deposit you just heard. Another deposit you just heard going into his bank account. Hey, Arnez J, I love you, man. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Thank you for your time.
Love you, man. You'll be safe out there.
Thank you for that conversation. What an amazing way to close this show today. All right, back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. A mass shooting in Philadelphia's Fairmount Park left 2 dead and at least 9 others wounded on Monday night. At least 3 of the victims were minors. All of the wounded have been reported to be in stable condition.
No, we have no one stopped at this time. Homicide is on location. We'll start going through the process.
The FBI is reopening probes into a number of high-profile unsolved cases. Those cases include the cocaine found at the White House during the Biden administration.